Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So great news, California has officially been found to be in violation of Title IX. No surprises there, but at least we are closer to this state finally being held accountable. And now they have 10 days to comply. We celebrated the 53rd anniversary of Title IX the other day. And who could imagine that this is where we would be? States allowing girls to be discriminated against in sports. The CIF thought that introducing that new policy would get Trump off their back, would cover them, and somehow fool people into believing that they are in compliance with Title IX. Well, clearly it didn't work. It's not good enough to say that we can allow girls to share medals with male athletes who should never be in their category to begin with. It's not good enough to continue to allow male athletes, boys, to enter into girls' locker rooms, all of which is abusive and needs to stop. Title IX was introduced to ensure that girls have the same opportunities in sports as boys. And these states such as California and Maine, while claiming to be, progressive and champions of women, are actively allowing women to be discriminated against, are removing the female category from sports, which was introduced to include women, to include girls in sports. They're compromising the female category, removing the female category, when women and girls, under the law, are entitled to their own category. They know this, we all know this. Even Democrats know this. Even Gavin Newsom himself said it was deeply unfair.
It is an issue of fairness. So it's deeply unfair.
So it's quite right that this state be held accountable, because they're allowing something to continue knowing that it's deeply unfair, knowing that it's direct discrimination against women and girls. So California is in violation of Title IX. This news should come as no surprise, given that transgender athletes have been competing in women's sports across the state. But the US Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights has made the violation official. The OCR announced on Wednesday that the California Interscholastic Federation and the California Department of Education were found to be in violation of Title IX. We know that Trump signed the executive order. Many of us, all of us, celebrated that historic moment. And it was great to see a president that was actually standing up for them, because we had had 4 years of Biden-Harris, who were pushing to completely destroy Title IX and even turn it around against women and girls on our college campuses. It was absolutely horrendous, and thankfully they did not succeed.
It was a very brief little paragraph when it was first implemented, only 37 words, totally changed. So can you talk about what that looked like, I think especially from the Biden administration and now back to the Trump administration?
Yeah, the Biden administration made an all-out effort that started, by the way, in the Obama administration. So the first Trump administration had to push back an effort from the Obama administration to start to subvert the meaning of Title IX. But what we saw in the 4 years of the Biden administration, what was astounding. To say that discrimination on the basis of sex that's prohibited under Title IX is now going to include discrimination on the basis of something they call gender identity. They can't define it. They don't define it. They don't even attempt to explain how to identify what someone's gender identity might be and how it interrelates to that person's sex. Does this concept of identity determine your sex now? The implication, of course, is that everyone gets to choose their own sex, because any law and any space where Title IX has come in and said, here are the areas in particular that we're concerned about equality between the sexes and true equality of opportunity between the sexes. Well, if you bring in a concept that you can have separate categories or classifications between boys and girls for certain things to preserve equality of not just opportunity in sports, but when you think about separate spaces for bathrooms or locker rooms or PE classes or sex ed classes. There are privacy concerns. There are dignity concerns. There are rational, common sense, obvious reasons throughout human history why Title IX would come in and say, you need to treat boys and girls equally. And of course, sometimes that means separating them out and giving them their own comparable spaces or things. So to turn that around and have a concept come in and say, well, yeah, we're still gonna have the boys thing and the girls thing. It's just that everybody now gets to choose which of those categories they belong to. It on the face of it, logically, that cannot possibly then end up being a separation based on sex anymore, or even being able to track actual disparities anymore between what's going on with boys in education and what's going on with girls in education.
The announcement regarding California's Title IX violation comes less than a month after transgender high school student athlete A.B. Hernandez won 2 California state titles in girls' track and field. And I cannot stress enough the impact this has on female athletes. I know in California they had that last-minute rule change or policy change, but generally speaking, when women have to compete against male athletes, they can't put winner of a state championship to their name. They can only put second or third. They can't put medalist or finalist to their name because they've been pushed back a spot by a male athlete, by the presence of a male athlete. That has an impact on the type of scholarships they can apply to. It's absolutely heartbreaking. That has an impact, on what schools they can get into. Riley Gaines said, today's decision is a long overdue victory for women and girls. California knowingly violated Title IX, and the Department of Education is right to hold them accountable. Restoring titles, records, and dignity to female athletes is just the beginning. I applaud Secretary McMahon and the Trump administration for standing up for women and girls everywhere. I hope more blue states are next. The Department of Education said in its statement that the CIF and the CDE will have 10 days to agree to the agency's proposed resolution agreement. The CDE will issue a notice to all recipients of federal funding that operate interscholastic athletic programs in California, requiring them to comply with Title IX. This will specify that Title IX and its implementing regulations forbids schools from allowing males from participating in female sports and from occupying female intimate facilities, and that recipients must adopt biology-based definitions of the words male and female. The CDE and CIF will rescind any guidance that advise local school districts or CIF members to permit male athletes to participate in women's and girls' sports, to reflect that Title IX preempts state law when state law conflicts with Title IX. The CDE will require each recipient and CIF to submit to CDE an annual certification that the recipient and the CIF have complied with Title IX. Accordingly, CDE will also propose to the OCR a monitoring plan to ensure that recipients are fully complying with Title IX. And they also mentioned Gavin Newsom's admission that it was deeply unfair. He said that out of his mouth. They made note of that, saying, although Governor Gavin Newsom admitted months ago it was deeply unfair to allow men to compete in women's sports, both the California Department of Education and the California Interscholastic Federation continue as recently as a few weeks ago to allow men to steal female athletes' well-deserved accolades and to subject them to the indignity of unfair and unsafe competitions. They're also investigating the state of Minnesota. They recently elevated their investigations over their transgender policies and violating Title IX. And we know that what's going on in Maine as well, they're still insisting on allowing this to continue, these blue states. So hopefully once we start seeing them lose their federal funding for real, actually lose their federal funding, once they start experiencing the repercussions then perhaps we will see some change. I mean, this, in my opinion, is absolutely criminal. Allowing this in the first place, it is absolutely criminal. We've seen how it can affect women's safety. And of course, women are having accolades stolen from them due to being forced to compete in a situation that is deeply unfair when it comes to their sports and their opportunities in sports. So it's great to see this progress. It's slow, but it's happening. And we have to, be grateful for that. But we need to see real results now. We need to see progress that is exponential, because it's gone on for way too long. It's gone on long enough. And we don't need any more girls having opportunities that they can never get back taken away from them. We don't want any more girls being put in that situation, being put in that position.
Well, I can announce, today, Ainsley, that the Department of Education has found that the state of California, the Department of Education, and their Interscholastic Sports Federation is in violation of Title IX. We are giving them 10 days to remedy that situation. We have remedy for them, but if they do not comply within 10 days, then we will refer this to the Department of Justice.
So that's the result after the 10 days. If they fail to comply, they will be referred to the Department of Justice and will be a step closer to losing their federal funding. All these women and girls losing out to failed men. This is such an evil, dark era. It was taking back their medals and stolen uni spaces, etc. It was compensating the girls who lost out. And quite frankly, the answer is nobody. Nobody's compensating these girls. It's absolutely heartbreaking. We have some court cases going on. The one in Connecticut, for example, they're seeking compensation, but ultimately, no one's able to give back to these girls what they have lost. The best we can hope for is that it stops and doesn't continue. Common sense is making a comeback. Riley, I do not want to put a wet blanket on your parade, but I doubt anything comes of this. Not because Linda is not trying, but because it is a blue state. And, to be fair, this person has a great point. Look what's happening in Maine. They continue to allow this. They are doubling down like crazy. And any attempts to withdraw federal funding from certain departments, they contest it. But I'm still hopeful that we're making progress. Unfortunately, it has to be state by state. And it is very tiresome, especially for the female athletes. They are the ones who are suffering the most. But I'm sure, the female athletes in California are happy to hear this news and are hopeful, because it's a step in the right direction. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.